Hey there everyone, how's it going? Tharun here, and we're going to continue with the functions part of the JavaScript. So this is the part 2, and I'm going to show you some more ways in which you can create functions and the different ways which actually exists in JavaScript. And you will be using these in when you're using frameworks like React or other front-end frameworks. In those you'll be having complex functionalities which you may need to kind of use these kind of syntaxes to create the functions. So let's start. So to continue onwards, I'm going to show you about the function constructor. So how do you create a function constructor? So using the function constructor, you will be assigning it to a variable and you'll be calling that variable. Okay, let me show you. So how do you declare a variable var or say let? Let's use the ES6 syntax, let, and let's call this as func. That's cool. New function. This is the constructor. Call x, y, and the third parameter which you're going to use here is return x into y. Now let me explain you this. So the syntax goes like this. You call a new, that is you're going to create a new instance of the constructor. So function, this call is the constructor, and the first few arguments, okay, the first few arguments are the argument or the parameters for that actual function, for that func, okay, and the last parameter here would be the body of the function. Okay, so here x and y are the arguments to this func, and the return x into y is the parameter. So how do we use this? Now to use this, we'll be doing console.log, okay, func of say 5,6. Let's save it and run node js10.js. The last one is 30, that is 5 into 6. 6 5 are 30. Cool enough. So if you have any doubts in this, please let me know. I'm really happy to clarify that. So moving on further, okay, this is the function constructor. So that is all with function constructor. So moving on further, there is a concept called recursion. Okay, generally in programming, something called recursion. What is recursion? Recursion in general sense means calling the same function again and again from within the function itself. Okay, that is recursion. For example, if I have say to calculate factorial, okay, now what is a factorial? For example, okay, this is an important programming concept in general. Factorial of 6 is nothing but 6 into 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. Okay, like that. We'll come decrementing from that number until 1 and multiply all of them. That is factorial. Now how do you calculate factorial of a number in programming in general sense? Let's declare a function factorial which takes num as the argument, and if num is less than equal to 0, that is if num decrements less than this 1, that is it is equal to 0, then we want to return 1, right? Because what is factorial of 0? That is also 1. What is factorial of 1? That is also 1. Else return the number into factorial. We are calling the same function from within the function, num minus 1. That is all the factorial function, and you can calculate the factorial of any number. Console.log factorial of say 6, 720. That is perfectly correct. So that is recursion for you. Now after recursion, the most important concept is lambda functions. Okay, so before going to lambda functions, I want to tell you what the meaning of anonymous function is. Now what do you mean by anonymous functions? Those functions which will not have name. Okay, that is anonymous function. For example, before getting into lambda functions, let me show you a anonymous function in general. Okay, let's have a function, okay, which actually console.log I'm an anonymous. Okay, now if I want to call this, okay, now see, like, it's like, what is it telling here? Okay, something is missing. Okay, now if I want to call this, okay, I'll wrap it in the round braces like this. Okay, and again mention those two there, and now if I run, it's gonna give I'm an anonymous, because using this syntax here, we are not naming the function, but we are like writing the function definition and like calling it immediately. Okay, that is this anonymous function. Now talking about Lambda functions, they refer to the anonymous functions in the programming. Okay, they are like a mechanism to represent the anonymous functions. Okay, and these functions are also called arrow functions. Really important. So there are like three parts to the Lambda functions. Okay, they are like parameters, okay, parameters, and that fat arrow notation, and the statements. Now this is not complex at all, so let me make you understand this arrow functions, because if you see the ES6 syntax which is being used today, when you like code in many of the modern frameworks, you will be using anonymous functions, you will be using Lambda functions, you will be using arrow functions there. Okay, when you take like other tutorials on like advanced concepts also, you will be coming across a lot of this arrow functions and all. So please make sure that you don't skip this tutorial if you do not know about arrow functions. But I'm gonna make it really simple for you. Okay, trust me. So var, let's say var food equals to, okay, food is the name of the function here, okay, a Lambda function name, and here we mention the parameters x, y, z, okay, any number of parameters, and write the arrow function that is equal to and greater than, okay, and have the curly braces for the body. Now let's return x plus y plus z. Okay, now console.log food, okay, I'm just like naming it so that we'll be able to identify it, food, and we're gonna call food with 10, 20, 30. Save it. Now running it, we get food of 60. That's perfectly correct. Now one variation which exists here, which I quickly want to show. Okay, variation 1. Okay, if you have a single return statement, okay, you need not use this curly braces here. You can directly put the return statement there, and you can like remove the return there. So save it. Now if I run it, it's going to give the same result. Okay, food of 60. Okay, and next variation, which works if you have like just one single parameter, okay, one single argument. You need not like mention the round braces there, you can directly mention x there. So if I have only x, then x plus 10, x plus 100, okay, fine, anything. So I'll be passing 10, save it, now run it, I get 110. Okay, so this is another variation of Lambda function. Now let's talk about generator functions. Now usually when you write a function, okay, the caller, I mean like if you use a for statement, for loop, and you're going to loop through the variables of that function, okay, then the for loop doesn't have any control over that functions which returns the value, right? Because if the function has a list, say like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, and you're going to use a for loop and like fetch all the values of the function, then it's going to like be fetched in a stretch, right? 1 to 10 is going to be printed. But what if you want to like control that? You want to control like you fetch the 2 values now and do something else and later fetch the remaining 3 values. Okay, those kind of things. How do you do that? We do that using generator, and it yields the value from the function. Okay, so how do you write a generator function? Now you'll understand once I write the generator function. So function star, okay, this denotes that it's going to be a generator function, and say we're gonna write like, name it like query. Okay, let's name the function query, and inside that let's have a const name equals to yield, which is gonna like yield the output when asked for. Okay, so yield, let's give what's your name. Okay, let's have that. Next, const sport equals to yield what's your favorite sport. Okay, now since we have assigned it to this name, okay, once we call it, okay, we will be passing the value in that call, which will be assigned to name and sport. Okay, I'll show you that later. Now let's complete this function. One more statement, return. Okay, and if you want to print the name and sport as variables, use this backticks. Okay, the backticks which is below the ESC button. Okay, and use dollar and this bracket, and use name, which will print the name. Favorite sport is dollar and sport. Save that, and now comes the interesting part. Now how do you like use the generator function? Okay, first you need to take an instance of the generator function. Okay, so that will be const, okay, instance equals to query. Okay, the instance is there. Now let's console.log, okay, instance dot next. Save it, running it. It's gonna ask like value what's your name and done equals to false. Okay, like the value is like what's your name. Now the next time we're gonna like call the next, we have to pass this answer to this question, which will be stored in name. Okay, now let's pass that. Let me copy this, and instance.next. Yep, so let's pass Shiv. Save it. Let me run that. Now what's your name, done false. Again, what's your favorite sport, done false. So the next question it's asking, the next yield statement is what's your favorite sport. Let me fill that in. Okay, that's there. Let me save that and run that. Now it tells Shiv's favorite sport is basketball, and it returns this statement, and it tells done is true. That is generator function for you. Okay, so this is the generator function concept. So if you have any doubt in this, please let me know. Okay, otherwise the lambda functions which I taught you is really important. Make sure you know how to use the arrow functions and their notations and all. I'm really glad to like clarify your doubts. Please let me know. Otherwise, see you guys in the next video. Thank you.